All right, we are recording. So I have Elitom El-amin on the podcast. I'm excited to talk to you. And just thanks for giving me some of your time, because I know you're busy doing some lectures and retreats, because you're in Israel right now doing a retreat, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm in Israel right now. It's a beautiful place to be.
Nice, nice. So how long are you going to stay there for? Like, where else are you going to be traveling to?
I have a good itinerary scheduled for this year. I'm going back through Egypt, Nigeria I'm going through, and that's going to be the first time that the breatharian message is going into the interior of Africa, so this will be a real big event.
Oh, wow.
Then from there, I'm going back to Egypt, and then I'm going to Myanmar, Cambodia. We're scheduling that in right now. So, yeah, this message is really spreading. It's very serious right now that humanity at least expand their consciousness. So it's a mission, and the light is opening up everything, opening up these different doorways.
Nice, nice. Now, where do you originally call home? I want to say Ohio. Is that correct? Or?
Oh, yes. Actually, I'm from Ohio, USA.
Okay.
And I'll be back through Ohio in June of 2019. So right now we're setting up a series of lectures, conferences, and retreats going across the U.S. too. And also, we mutual friends of John DePass, so he want to bring one up to Canada. And like when we talk about the breatharian message, it's a holistic message. So
right.
What is dealing with everything dealing with health holistically, that's what the basics the message is talking about.
Right, right. Well, we're gonna have to get you to California. That's where I'm at. So we'll have to get you.
I'm coming through there.
All right. Okay. So, nice.
That's one of the holistic capitals of America on one level.
Yeah, on one level. Yeah, yeah. Well, I think this is just amazing what we have with technology, because being able to talk to you in Israel, I mean, just the way we can connect now with technology. So I'm always asking.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm always asking people what their relationship with technology is, with social media. Do you have a healthy, balanced relationship with that?
Oh, absolutely. It's really comes in handy. First of all, I'm always traveling, so Google Maps is a plus.
Yeah.
There'd be some places I would not have found if it wasn't for it, and stuff like this. And it's how you use the technology. It's sort of like how I'm spreading this message now. Like I'm saying, I'm talking to you way in California. We're reaching all of these people on a message that could change their life. And this is incredible when you use it in the right way. Now, of course, if you stay in front of these, because it gives off positive ions, if you stay in front of the computer too much, it can harm you also. Right. So I do teach people too that they need to take technology fast. Right. Where you just shut down your computer, stay off the internet for a couple of days, and give your body time to heal by its nature. Because staying up under what? The lights in the house, you got your different technology going through you and stuff like this. It is real bad for the health when you stay in it too much. But if you use it for a positive thing, like we said, it really does wonders. I mean, it's really helping spreading the message. Yeah. This was back in the day when we just had radio. I'll hit, some people here and there. But right now, I'm basically known all over the world just through this medium. Right. And it's growing even bigger every day.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a real concern now with, the communication towers and the EMF exposure that we're getting involved with, because you're dealing a lot with, frequency, energy, and those EMFs can disrupt that energy flow. And I think they have, I've heard they have an impact on our adrenal glands, which create the neurotransmitters for our body. And so EMFs can really disrupt that. So yeah, you got to be careful with, too much contact with devices and electronics and stuff. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why it pays off too to really keep your body toxified during this era. Now, of course, the EMFs is going up in our atmosphere and stuff like this due to man-made reasons. But keep in mind that we live in radiation also by our nature. We're radiated beings. And of course, if you're really toxic, these frequencies that's man-made and other frequencies of nature will harm you. You can't even stand up under the sun, the natural sun, that long if you're very, very toxic. Right. So it goes back to, this message is for everybody about purity is the new high, purging your vehicle, and then take it from there. And then we're going to get into the consciousness on changing your thought process, because they also give frequencies their power on how they would affect you. So this is what we're getting into.
Right, right. Yeah, good point. Well, just kind of on, I haven't really thought this through, but I think that where technology is going to be leading us into the virtual reality world, right? I mean, that seems to be the direction we're going with like things like the Matrix and things like that. So, you know, just with the headsets, virtual reality, I wonder if there's going to be a way to use this technology to bring us to a higher level of consciousness, somehow connect the two symbiotically. Because if you have a headset and you have the earphones, you know, you can have, you know, frequency type music. Visually, you could have some kind of stimulating like ayahuasca experience or something, you know what I mean? So I wonder if they were going to be able to fuse those two together somehow in the future to help us instead of technology being against us. I'm not sure, but it's just my thoughts.
Well, the problem with that is when you look at modern technology, it has its wonders.
Right.
But what it deals with is in order to make these advances on this frequency that we're on, you're using your five senses to measure the physical universe.
Right.
And the instruments that they make, is all it does is expand your five senses. Now listen at this now. Now, spirituality always been talking about this, but the knowledge got lost, and we're bringing it back even when we talk about food freedom. Your body, your physical body, is the greatest science and technology you have access to. And what you have to do with it in this transformation is develop what we call a sixth sense. And the sixth sense is sort of like a feeling state, or it's a state where the human being has the ability to get in contact with the unified force that connects everything.
Right.
We already can do that. Right now we're doing it in bits and pieces. All of us had those things where you'll be thinking something and somebody else said, I was just thinking that, you know, after you said it. Yeah. But you can actually get into a state of transforming yourself and developing this sixth sense, where you can do a lot of things that seem unimaginable, seem like miracles, but it's not at all. And this is the age we're going into on that type of level, to where, like I said, the man-made virtual realities is made with the five senses can never compete with the sixth sense that the human being could develop.
Right, right. Well, I think this ties into your message of what you're teaching with the breatharian lifestyle is all this external stuff is just stimulation, and it is a suppressant.
Exactly.
It's a suppressant to the higher level of consciousness, especially the food. The food is very suppressing and brings our energy levels down. So yeah, it ties into your teachings of, you know, stop stimulating yourself so much so you can reach those higher levels.
Exactly, because when you do that, all you're doing is putting yourself, your consciousness, back into duality. And that puts you into a descending state. When you develop your sixth sense, it builds you back into connected into that unified force, that unified frequency. And that's the difference. And that puts you on an upward scale. How do you know? Because first of all, there is indications. Your physical body will get a lot more healthier. You'll feel like you have a lot more energy. Your sleep will decrease, and you could eat very little or none at all. Because when you're hooked up with the unified force, it actually gives us everything we need. But when you're disconnected from it, humanity is on a frequency or a download within their mind of a survival base. You're chasing those external stimulants to try to fulfill something that's empty because you're disconnected from nature.
Yeah, right. But what do they call it? Your parasympathetic nervous system, if you're constantly using that, right? Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. And our bodies are the gateway to the invisible forces. See, the last spirituality has been hijacked because it's been teaching us that the physical means nothing. And, you know, everybody's planning on dying, going to another place. But wait a minute now. What I simply done to do what I did was I reversed it and went back into my body. And when I came back into my body, you'd be surprised how many abilities this has. Those external stimulants that we chase, not only it puts you into duality, it puts stress on the body, and pretty soon it takes you out of your body. It ends up in a sickness. illness, and then a disease, and the last but not least, death, premature death.
Right, right. Well, well, why don't we get into it? What is your definition of breatharianism? Because I think people have different views of it. Like when I hear that word, I think of someone who doesn't eat food at all, which I think is completely wrong.
Right.
So what is your
Right.
definition of breatharianism? How would you explain it?
Well, that's my whole thing about going around educating people, because that causes a lot of static. When you hear that word, immediately people jump to not eating at all.
Right.
It's sort of like that word tantra. As soon as you hear tantra, people think about sex.
Right.
And the word don't have nothing to do with sex. It's just dealing with an application, same thing. So these definitions is really important on what things are and what there aren't. And people are really getting beat up about it because they don't know what it is. So that's why this education come into being.
Right.
Now the word breatharian, it came on the scene by a newspaper reporter in Europe. He just found out people that don't eat, and he put breatharianism in the newspaper, and that was after World War II. And it stuck with the movement all along, you know, right. Breatharian. But what it's dealing with is a lot of ancient cultures already had a word for breath. You know, the breath, but the breath they was talking about is what gives life. Like in India, they use the word prana. And here in Israel, they use the word ruach. China, they use chi. Japan, they use ki. So different ancient cultures had a word for this type of breath. And of course, everybody's been educated with the Judeo-Christian Bible talking about Adam got the breath of life put into him.
All right.
Now, this does make a lot of sense for the simple fact because we're breathing something and we're living in it. And that's the whole thing, that people don't realize what they're living in. Now, one thing you said about this technology, I'm glad you started out with that. I'm glad that this external technology is on the scene because it makes it easier to educate people now on the unseen forces that have been going through us all along, these cosmic energies. Back in the day when they didn't understand that a frequency could be going through you, they just used the word spirit or Holy Ghost. So people was just going off of belief. But now, since we have upgraded in knowledge, this actually makes it easier to explain a human being to make a transformation. Because we are biocomputers, not just like we are biocomputers. Your education is like a download in the computer, and whatever your mind is in your consciousness, that's what kind of reality you're going to create. So this is already like the Matrix. It's not about we going there, you're already doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. So once you understand that you can get these new downloads of knowledge and transform yourself, this is why it's so key that teachers like myself and others must go around teaching this new education, because keep in mind that all the diet changes that's out here now are just other forms of programs or education that humanity is downloading into.
Right.
There was a time, for instance, eating meat had a hard time. You need to eat meat. But now we know you could not eat meat or no animal byproducts and live a good, healthy life. But it took a while for that new download to get in.
Right.
Now you see people even challenging the different diet changes altogether. And even today, you see fasting coming out more and more ever before with all this education.
Yep.
And that's to tell somebody, if your body is getting healthier for not putting nothing at all, there's something to that. Now, breatharianism, let's get back into it. It comes from the ancient word that's called anidia. And that means to eat very little or not at all. What do very little mean?
Right.
That don't mean like once a day. Well, it can be. It depends on the person, because you are having a life experience. But you can eat once every 3 days, once every 7 days. You could go for a long period of times or just eat for enjoyment. That's what that means. So we need to be educated on this, because if you see a person that's a breatharian and say if they wasn't eating for a while, then all of a sudden they eat something, then pretty soon, you know, we like to play the game of, see, you done ate something, you need something to eat. But they done broke all the records already.
Right.
So that's why it's so important to educate them. Now, if you choose to go to that level of eating not at all, now to me, when I teach on a realistic level. There is age of experience on when a person should do that. I don't see at all a teenager going total food free. They don't need to in this life experience. Your life should have the need that's in it. In other words, I see people who want to come into it and don't understand the price it's going to pay,
Right.
and then they get miserable or they harm themselves. Why do you want to be food free and you got small children and you're married and stuff like this? There's a lot that come with the package.
Right.
Also, to gain a new energy within your body, your sexual energy is the strongest energy that you have access to in your body. That is needed to allow it to raise upwards to start feeding up the brain, to give it a new energy. You follow me? That's why we see in those ancient symbolism, you see the caduceus, that's in the hospital sign for the health, and they got the serpent coming up the pole.
Right,
we got the Kundalini in India. Egypt got the snake coming up the pole, but they all talking about the same thing, that this sexual energy, which is a creative force, must come up to take the place of eating, what should we say, fossil fuels, dead plants and animals. So a lot of people don't want to let go of sex or even direct it, because that's one of the things that's big in these societies now, is sex. We got to say sex sells. Sex is all over the place.
Yeah.
So to harness that energy is a whole nother ball game when it comes down to eating and not eating. Now, let's go back into breatharianism or what it means. So there's many words you can use: solitarian, airtarian, but the whole idea is that we're living in something. That's what you got to understand. It's more than just oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, argon, water. There's moisture all in the air. Your body is a great absorber. And right now, even your scientists will say, we got the guts of the sun within us. We got the whole universe in us. We're part of nature. We say these words, but can you make it a reality? Now, meditation is the foundation of this process. Why is it? Because meditation slows down the body. You need relaxation. And the body, by its nature, is a good conductor of energy. All you got to do is relax. When you're sleeping at night, your body is in unconscious meditation. Right. You're using the same energy to charge up, that's charging up this technology we're using right now, the cell phones, the computers. This just is an external things. We're in it and already using it. So that's why you don't have to be too much scared of frequencies going through the air that's going to harm you. You're using the same thing. You're being bombarded by radio waves that's natural, cosmic rays, there's gamma rays out there, and you can raise your frequency or vibration that's coming off your body. We also live in an age where you have an electromagnetic field coming off your physical body. All physical matter has it. And it changes with everything you put in your body, everything you eat, and everything you think. We got equipment that can show this now. Right, and your heart comes out the furthest. So this modern technology makes it easier for us to explain being food free. Yes, it takes work. You're actually changing food sources from fossil fuels to other forms of energy sources. You could go to, how should I say, solar energy. Some people say the energy of nature, because again, your body's already in tune with this. But through the meditation and the consistency, your body will be able to handle more of this cosmic energy that's constantly bombarding the earth. This is good. So we're like a fish in water. It's just, again, this seems invisible, so it's easy for the human being to violate it. And when you start eating at such a dense level, you start disconnecting yourself back in the dualistic thought process instead of the oneness that you're connected with everything. Right. See, as we talk, I could say this is my consciousness, that's your consciousness, but what's taking place in this conversation is only one consciousness. This receiving action is taking place, is giving everybody what they need. Now, it seems like a philosophy as this being dictated, but again, when you get this new program, this download, it's not about rushing into it right away, but give your body time to get the new memo. Your cells is already always generating energy. The old cell break off, a new one is born. And depending on your thought process, your new education, you can start gearing yourself towards that level to get better health, improve your relationships, because that's what it's about too as we get deeper in this. Because if you're one consciousness, you're going to start treating everybody just like yourself. And to tell you the truth, that is the true nourishment. Uh-oh, did I say that?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, they've done now with they've taken a cell or a molecule, and inside there's electrons, protons, and stuff like that. I think they can go like, I want to say like 28 levels deep into that, and they get to the very end, and it's just vibration. It's just energy, frequency. That's what it is.
I'm glad you brought that up. So that's why this is so easy to teach now. Everybody's stuck on the physical. Well, this need food, this need food. Right. But there's so many layers that's up under this. There's the cellular level. There's the molecular level. There's the subatomic level.
Subatomic,
and then there's the string level that they're talking about.
Yeah.
And just on that level, David got experiments, how an experiment could get dictated on its outcome by the consciousness that's observing it.
Right.
You see it. You see what I'm saying? So science has really backed up a lot of stuff that what we're talking about.
Right.
But it's about the human being now saying, wait a minute, this is an instrument just like the computer, just like the cell phone. Let me start using this instrument differently. Eating 3 meals a day is over with. You don't need all of that. That's far-fetched. We're creatures of habit. So when you're stuck into that type of frequency, it seems normal. Right. But you can transform yourself and break that frequency with time, effort, and putting with the right education. With this new education and this meditation, you start working with these forces that everybody has access to. Over a period of time, like I said, your blood will start running a lot more normal, which makes the body a lot healthier. You're getting these energies from the root chakra or the hip to rise upwards, and you're going to see a whole difference, a whole mode of thought on the way you've been behaving and living. It's dealing with a behavior again.
Right. Well, I think the huge thing now, all the kids are doing today is the dry fasting, which I think could be another way of saying breatharian. It's another term for breatharian, but people are going from the standard American diet to dry fast for detoxification, and they're skipping all these other levels. And like you said, they run into problems. Yeah, they're going to mess up their health. So
exactly.
I think there's levels. I mean, go vegan first, go plant-based, and go raw, go more fruitarian, then start experimenting with the fasting, the dry fasting. Yeah, there's levels to it. You can't just jump right into it. Yeah.
Well, what it is it depends on the person's consciousness, their health, their current health. And you're right, it's better to take things in levels and degrees because we always got to pay attention. Safety first.
Right.
We're in this age of instant gratification. Sometimes people have the wrong motivation on why they want to go into something. Because sometimes I ask them when they want to learn more about breatharianism, I got to say, well, what is your purpose?
Right.
What are you looking for? Because this is a very serious initiation. That need to be said, just like anything else. So there is levels and degrees, like you said. That's the best route to take, and give your body time to transform itself. A lot of people will come into this out of desperation because of their health.
Right.
And I mean, it boils down like this. If you can't get healthy doing basic things, this isn't a cure-all at all just because you're going to starve yourself. Right. So that's the wrong idea. You understand? And if you can't master one day, because I usually tell people, what do I need to do to start getting on a breatharian path? Fast once a day or have a pranic day. At first, if you never fast before, the body will be weak, go through all of this. But over a period of time, we're creatures of habits. Your body will get used to that, and it'll be so easy. That right there is telling you just reprogram the body, reprogram the mind. So this is a process that takes time. It deals with what type of life you created for yourself. I mean, if you got a certain type of job, it's not for all people. So it's about when you want to start creating a new creation. And keep in mind, this is nothing but another experience. You're having an experience more into the unity field instead of the duality field. If you're not tired with the duality field, breatharianism is not going to work for you at all.
Right. Right. Well, I think it depends on what your spiritual beliefs are too, as well, because if your belief is it's lights out when we die, then who cares? I mean, there's no real impetus to reach a higher level of consciousness. But if you believe there's something after this life, then yeah, you're going to be more inclined to want to clean out the system, get more spiritual. So I think it depends on your overall spiritual belief.
Belief system.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So that's why this message isn't forcing it on nobody at all.
All right.
My main goal is, as I spread this message, isn't to want the world to all become breatharian. Not at all. This is a health message, because when you look at the first world countries, for instance, just to start there, there's a serious health problem going on, and it's dealing with prevented diseases. It could have been prevented. That means that they're disrespecting the energies instead of using them like they should be properly. You understand? So we're not saying that eating isn't not natural. It depends what you want to create. But we also want people to know, too, as we spread this message, that breatharianism, or whatever you want to call it, exists. See, it was hard for me at first when I started, and nobody in my community, nobody around knew about it. And I'm trying to create this. But as I got stronger and stuck into it, it went past the different trials and tribulations. Now it's like a one-way. I'm on offense right now. I'm looking at people and saying, well, why do you eat? Why do you eat what you're eating? Now you got to answer me questions. I mean, it don't make sense,
Right.
Especially when you can improve your health with more higher quality foods or eating less. That's step number one. And step number two, when you become a practitioner of actually working with energies, you can see this plain as day. Because we are energy, light, and sound beings. We all work with it. You live in it. You are it.
Right, right. Well, I have to ask, if I don't, I'm going to get massacred. What do you eat and how often do you eat?
The last physical food I ate was 2017 of October. So it's been over a year. That meal was a meal with my son, and he was going back to America because he was traveling with me. He also went through the process. So we keep that date in mind to tell people, I'm glad you asked that. Now, dealing with liquids and drinks, when you go to a cafe and do the Wi-Fi, there's times you got to order something. You don't have to live a secluded life. You understand?
Right.
So you could do it on those type of gatherings. You don't need water and you don't need liquids. So that gets it right there. So drinking wise, I don't drink at all either. Only if I'm not in that type of situation where I want to use the Wi-Fi, you got to order something. And that's all up to me if I want to experience something. So you don't got to deprive yourself. But eating physical food, no, I don't eat that at all, and I don't want to. It's hard on my system right now, and that's coming from me because I'm in it. And I don't want to feel that type of vibration. What gets you off of it, let me add this in. What gets you off of it, because when many people go into breatharian process, there's foods in them that they still love. So they'll play with it for a while. So that's one level. The level I'm at, I've been through that. I've been on this path for 19 years, so I'm seasoned. So after a while, even though you have those foods you're enjoying, pretty soon you don't like the feeling it gives you no more. So pretty soon it's like you graduate, or it's like a kid playing with a toy, where the toy's no fun no more because you kind of grew up. So then you want to expand more of consciousness. See, the level I'm at, I understand, you know, we could talk the philosophy, but I understand that my physical body is my consciousness. There is no division of a mental body, a emotional body, a physical body. This is all one. You're looking at it. I am a spirit. So it's the way you think that changes. So going back to that, that was the last meal, and I continue to keep going because by me being a teacher, I want to be the real deal so you can feel this energy, because this is a very serious season that we're in.
Right, right. Well, I interviewed somebody once. He goes by the name Brother Air, and he's part of the mucusless diet community. And funny enough, he's from Ohio too. And I think the longest he went, I want to say, is 44 days with no food or water. I could be wrong on that, but it was right. But it's funny. He just said I'm just an average guy from Ohio. If I can do that, then there's somebody out there 2 times that, 3 times that. There's somebody out there who's not eating. They're doing it. So,
right.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Right. He's exactly right. That's why people got to be careful. I just seen a couple people or people who experienced the pranic journey, and just because they failed, they blocked the whole gateway. It can't be done.
Right,
well,
right.
for number one, you might have let you know what you was doing. You didn't have enough information, and whatever your reason was, that's what it was. We as humans are extreme creatures. We got this consciousness, and it's just like the technology we got now that we were just talking about. There have been more failures that took place than what became, to make this technology we have. So it's the same way when we start rediscovering ourselves. There's many people who failed on different levels, you understand?
Right,
and there's many who's coming victorious. Right. I took my time, I'm well educated, I'm, on working with myself, and I took my life, I personally took my life and cut certain things off personally so I can work with myself. I see people try to come into this with a busy family, busy workplace. It doesn't work like that.
No.
Or also cultivating sexual energy. I took this the path of being celibate so I could get more energy within the body. You understand? Because I also teach sexual cultivation in it. So there is a price to pay to have this experience. So he was definitely right. If he can do it from Ohio, there's somebody that's way more advanced in the game, and this is. And I take pride, not pride on a prideful way, but I do take pat myself on the back on how far I came. I'm glad of it, and I'm glad on how many people I'm able to share this message with, so they can make those same changes. And it's so user friendly. It's just take your time and love yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're a huge inspiration, man. You're doing things that are breaking the indoctrination, the conditioning, the propaganda that we've been led to believe. And so what you're doing, people are like, nah, he's lying, he's faking it, whatever. But they're stuck in that matrix. So I think what you're doing is a huge inspiration of what is possible, what we can achieve. I think there's some magical things coming our way soon that are just going to blow people's minds. I can't wait, man. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And this year is a good year because even for myself, if I'm traveling around teaching more and more people and they're really grabbing it, we're going to do more of our own little experiments and stuff, to bring it more to the public. Now, the good thing about it, what people don't understand, there's people in the scientific field that's already into this, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Not to try to disprove it, they're trying to figure out a way to better say it. You understand?
Right.
So it's not far-fetched. Usually the people that's more educated in the sciences understand that this takes place. It's the ignorant. When I use that word ignorant, I'm not talking about the bum on the street. It's actually the more educated you get in nutrition, the harder it is for you to see. So your education is actually the ignorance.
Right. Well, there was a lady.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a lady, I want to say she's from the UK, I could be wrong, but she claimed to be a breatharian, and so they put her in a clinical setting to observe her, and a few days in, she just started to deteriorate, like her numbers are dropping, like, you need to eat something. She obviously wasn't telling the truth, but like Wim Hof, he's doing a lot of clinical studies, more with the breath work. He's not into the unfooding, but, there is clinical science and studies, backing it up, so, yeah.
Right, and check this out too. Knowledge has increased. I know exactly what you're talking about that incident. And that was like a couple decades ago, if not longer.
Right.
Oh, that was way longer. Now check this out. When Breatharian message came out on the scene then, they were still talking certain type of far-fetched religious words. You're being sustained by love and stuff like this. So it was hard for people to grasp it. The way I'm talking it now, it was all user-friendly. I mean, we're talking about the same energy that charges up your cell phone. We're talking about meditation. They weren't talking that back then. They were just talking about let go and just trust, just believe, just like a religion. This ain't got nothing to do with that. There's some inward work you have to do on yourself. Absolutely. And when that takes place, then you'll see this takes place on yourself. So, like we said, those studies were somewhere else back then. The people, they meant good in their heart, but at the same time, they weren't too prepared like we are today. Like I said, the studies we're going to do this year, we're working on it. I got a team waiting on me soon. And we're going to take it in increments because, right, so we can nip this in the bud. Yeah, this unified consciousness, people got to understand that. I got to say it, it's going to win without a shadow of a doubt.
Nice, nice.
It's representative.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, okay, there we go.
All right, there you're back. But here's a fun fact. Did you know that the first thing the embryo forms is the digestive tract? A fun fact.
That's something, ain't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that branches out to all the glands and organs because everything's connected to the digestive tract, so it makes sense. But
well, are you sure, or is it the pineal gland?
it could be. I could be wrong. You probably know more than I do. So
right, because usually that pineal gland is generated first. The body comes from the head once that's formed. I mean, I'm just saying.
right.
But that's what we're dealing with. Now, let's look at the digestive tract. It is very key on what you just said, and I'm glad you brought that up. Your mouth is connected to your anus. You got like a hole going right through you, and it's really, really important. Now, when you deal with food freedom, and just because you're not using you're still using your digestive tract. People think it just gets shut down and you don't need it. That's absolutely not the truth. That's why we got to break the myth.
Good point.
When you're eating all the time and eating regularly, your intestines is your primary digestive system. Your lungs is your secondary. When you make this transition, your lungs is going to become your primary and your intestines is going to become your secondary.
All right.
Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because your lungs is going to bring in energy and it takes out toxicity. So it's a whole different ball game when you're living on as a breatharian. You'll be totally lighter. And like I said, in the past, there's been so much turmoil happened with this, with bad knowledge, bad advice, the wrong words. And also, yes, there has been wrong representatives. There was people who was real overweight saying they're breatharian. We can't go with that now. Yes, you only blow it up when there's something in the body like that. Absolutely not.
But you got to think though, like the conditioning to ingest external sustenance happens right at birth. I mean, as soon as we're born, we're put to the mother's breast to drink milk, and so that conditioning to need sustenance is already there the first day we come out into this world. So I don't know.
You're definitely right. You're definitely right. See, we're not saying you're supposed to come out of the womb not eating. No.
Right.
Nature shows us development, from a seed state. Right. And then a certain type of vegetable or plant go to another state where it's not ripe yet. Even in a human being, the brain isn't fully developed until about 25. You understand?
Right.
So yes, keep the children out of this. There is some parents that come, do they supposed to be eating? I said, don't starve your children.
Right.
No, they're supposed to eat. Right, we're not talking that at all. You're a hybrid. That's why you can have the ability to eat something or you don't have to eat at all. Is this making sense?
Oh, yeah.
It's just like a car. Your average car runs off of fossil fuels. But now we can make it run off electricity. We can make it run off of solar power. We can make it run off of water. Same with the human being. You got those choices on how you want to operate in this realm. It's just that everybody across the board, all around the planet, was feeding off of fossil fuels.
All right. Yes.
Now we're making this conversion or learning that you can. We did it slowly by veganism being there. Now we're going into, there's more fruitarians like never before. There's more people that's, like we said, the fasting revolution is on like never before. Intermittent fasting, all of this is on the scene. And last but not least, breatharians is on the scene. The knowledge is out there, information. There's many different levels of degrees in them. And I know people like to blast all of them. You cannot do that. Right. These people are standing up, getting out the information the best they can. And like I said, just because of this, I've made sure I make myself as the real deal. No, you're not going to knock this knowledge off right off the bat. Absolutely not. Yeah. This must be on the scene. Just it's an indication that we do have a unified force, consciousness, and the human being can connect with it and be totally sustained. That's your true nature.
So changing that fuel source, yeah. But what about, say, if you're an endurance athlete and you require more ATP production, glucose, you require more food for energy, is that doable for a breatharian lifestyle, being super active, or is that not hand in hand?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I work out all the time.
Okay.
We promote that. Right. In spirituality, period, they made it seem like working on your physical body was not spiritual and all of this, so it got hijacked again.
Right.
Even when breatharians came out, there was some who looked at too anorexic or in a starving state, mode of state. So working out and stuff like this, do it all the time. Now, keep in mind that whatever you're trying to create or want to do, there's a body that goes along with it. If you start running a marathon, you want to develop a body that can run a marathon. A long distance runner and stuff like that. A sumo wrestler, if you want to be a sumo wrestler, you're not going to be a breatharian. You need a sumo wrestler body.
Right.
So there's certain things out there, if you want to be that, just say breatharianism for later. You understand?
Yeah.
Go ahead at creation on what you want to create. When you come into the breatharian levels, you will have a lean body. But how you want to build it up, you don't need to look real thin. You can build muscle. You can be nice and cut. And yes, you'll have little or no body fat. That's the breatharian body.
Right.
And dealing with endurance and stuff, the energy is there. It's tremendous. Like I said, whatever you create, you'll have more energy. You'll sleep less. Right now, I sleep 2 to 4 hours a night. And when I'm real excited, when there's something to create, the energy is always flowing. So again, we're waiting to see now, like what you just said, when that does take place, when a breatharian is going to be in some type of endurance. Now, I'll tell you what, I just talked to my friend before this podcast. I'm going to India soon, and I'm into long distance biking. So we are going to tape that also, and we'll do like a 3-dayer out on the bikes and stuff, just to show everyone that, yeah, you can still do stuff like that. This is totally different than fasting. You are on another and a cleaner fuel source.
Right.
Because that's what's hurting everybody, toxicity. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, you touched on a minute ago about the sexual energy and how powerful that is. The famous boxer Mike Tyson, the heavyweight champion back in the day, he didn't believe in seminal retention. He thought that would hold him back during a fight and lose his focus. So he'd get it out before a fight. But I know what you're saying about the sexual energy, but yeah, some people are like, it could be a distraction. He didn't want to be, during the fight thinking about that. So he released his sexual energy. He released it.
Well, check this out. He released it all right. And sexual, not to talk about him, I love Mike Tyson. But sexual energy or just a physical act. Look what it done to his life.
Yeah.
Put him in jail. It did this. It put him in divorces, and that's sexual energy. That's what we're talking about. It's a powerful force. So he unleashed it, and that's what happened.
Yeah, he did. Well, let's get.
It could have all been a bomb.
Right. Okay, so I got your definition of what a breatharian lifestyle is. What would be your definition of higher consciousness? What does that mean to you?
Well, we use that word higher due to the state we're in. And again, we don't need no separation. It's just one consciousness.
It just is, yeah.
But it's our perception that's making it like there's a lower and a higher. It's our perception that's making this separation. Once you understand this and start operating in that way of oneness, sort of like an altruism type state, because nature shows us this all the time. Nature works in one big whole. The human being is the only thing that's working separate. So when you start working yourself within the wholeness, that's what we call higher consciousness, because things start going your way. Everything is right on time. And this isn't magical what I'm talking about. Again,
Right.
By me living in this state, the reason why I'm doing it, I'm actually exploring consciousness because everything goes my way. Everything goes just the way I want it. You don't need to pray. You don't need no technique. You're one with the forces. This is why, if anything, you should want to take this road because that's what it again. What is higher consciousness? Everything is consciousness. Even the inanimate is just a human being is blind to it. So that's why the more you tune yourself to it, you become with the oneness of everything. And that's what we call the awakening. And how do we know? The indications is your health to get better. Like when we looked at the preventable diseases of the first world countries, that right there is the sign of the disconnection of a lower consciousness. This ain't putting nobody down. It's just through ignorance and not knowing what's taking place.
All right.
So that's what we mean by higher consciousness. It's a consciousness that continues. It does not come to a halt. It continues. That's why we're talking longevity / immortality now. This is the age we're in. Absolutely.
So you're a firm believer that there's an energy, a consciousness behind this physical that's driving this body? Is that fair to say?
Well, in all meditations, that's what they call our higher self. It is you.
Right. Yeah, there's
this vehicle that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say there's back in the 1800s, there's a French poet artist named Antonin Artaud who tried to figure out a way to tap into that awareness before you attach words to it, before you attach vocabulary to it, emotions or feelings. Like, what is that that's taking place, emotion or feeling, whatever it is, awareness, before you attach a word to it? Because that's the only way we can express it or acknowledge it is by attaching words to it. So he was trying to figure it out the step before that took place. And he eventually went insane trying to think about it or discover it. But yeah, how do you figure out where that's coming from before you apply it to words to express it? Like, what is that? What's back there? What's happening? Yeah.
Well, keep in mind that, see, a lot of your meditations, okay, some actually work with the mind and all of this, but that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about the ones that usually go to a level where you just observe your thoughts. Don't give them no energy, because we the ones give, through our intent, the thought is energy or is action.
All right.
But you don't have to. Like the old folks used to say, just because birds fly over your head don't mean you have to make a nest there. So again, when you get to those forms of meditations, more and more you start seeing that other realm where your thoughts will slow down. Now, you're never going to get rid of all thoughts altogether, but they will slow down from about 80,000, 60,000 to about 30,000, 20,000. You understand? Right. But once you train yourself to do that more and more, because the person we talk to the most is ourselves. And you are getting your reality. So if anything you want to harness is the way you thinking, from a negative state to more positive, or really just observing your thoughts. So tapping into that other state of us, like you said, dealing with this vocabulary definition. I'm glad you said that. It's through human vocabulary that's putting them into duality.
All right.
Why do I say that?
Yeah.
A woman just not too long ago, she brought out some lettuce seeds and said, this makes a good tea. She said it does this to the intestines, and it does this. She named all the stuff it do to it, and I'm looking at her. So then she asked me, how does a breatharian think? And I took her back to what she was just explaining, that tea to me. You took that lettuce seed and broke it all into parts through your vocabulary. So therefore, you just gave it power to be disconnected of its purpose. Me being a breatharian, I just looked at it as a lettuce seed, and if I choose to taste it, it'll just be for the experience.
Right.
She just didn't choose to taste it. Now she put a purpose on what it's supposed to do. So you just separate it through your vocabulary. Let's go back to science. What they're doing is measuring the physical universe in parts and pieces. So we've been learned to do that also. That's why, again, in spirituality has been hijacked with these vocabulary. Because right. They always talk about, okay, you got your physical body, emotional body, mental body. How do I fix my emotions? and I'm looking at them, will fix your physical body. That is your emotion.
Right.
There is no separation, but it's the language that's separating everybody from this other consciousness. That's how you get there. Stop separating it. And ain't so much as the words is how you use them.
Right, right. Well, yeah, science is doing that with the food, carbohydrates, fats,
Right.
looking at all that stuff. It's like when you look at an apple, you can't see that stuff. So why even waste your energy thinking about it? It's confusing.
Exactly. Somebody asked me, where you get your minerals and vitamins? And I said, for number one, I didn't know that before I came onto the journey. Why should I know it now?
Right, right.
That's something somebody told you. You've never seen a mineral in your life.
Right.
Or a vitamin. You don't even know what one look like. That's a program.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start separating it, it automatically, because the body's going to follow your thinking. So it's a program game we playing. And what Breatharianism do, when you hear my teachings, I'm just kind of putting you back into a oneness of thought. All I'm doing is giving you a program.
Right, right.
And you slowly come into it, and this program will soon start functioning if you just keep listening to it, because keep in mind, the food is food for thought. Somebody has to talk this to you to activate you. And then you have to do something on your part to come into the new skill that you want to apply.
Right, right.
To see the power behind the principles.
Yeah.
It's like that with everything.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There's a thing called, it's either infant amnesia or childhood amnesia. And there's a reason why most of us don't remember being born or early childhood years, because going back to what I was saying before, there wasn't a vocabulary. There was no way to express or record that memory because you didn't have a vocabulary to document it. So that's why we usually don't remember those early years. So.
Right. That was very good to say. So that language is very powerful.
Yeah.
It has the power to what? Language, definitions, all of this has the power to shut you down from the unified thought process.
Yep. And the big corporation, the big corporations have figured that out. We are their puppets.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
So let me ask you this: what does Elitom's future manifestation look like? What do you see? What is your goal, your aspirations for the future? What do you see for yourself?
Do you really want to know that?
I don't know. Do I? Do I?
Well, actually, see, most people look at this, or what I'm doing is being amazing. Right now, I really don't look at it as being amazing because I'm living it.
Right.
I know that there's still more room to grow. And as I'm still working on myself, bringing more light into the body, there is different stages of manifestations that I'm on a path for. That, in other words, I'm not planning on dying. I might as well come out with it. And I'm going to take the body up in the light. In other words, yes, we're going another direction altogether. That's about future.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So as a breatharian, what does end a breatharian's life? What do you think? Disease is out of the question for you? You're not going to accept that reality? You're just going to transcend and decide? Yeah.
Since I've been on this path, I ain't catch a cold in 19 years. I mean, this just goes to show you, that's just mucus coming up. Just stay away from that. So as we continue on this transformation, yes, you just don't stop here. You keep going to your whole human potential. I mean, we live in a realm again, like we would from the molecular structure, the atomic, the subatomic. But when you go to the strings and beyond that, the quirks and stuff, we're living in a field of potentiality. That means it hasn't been created yet. So, I mean, you can sit up here all you want, but we have the power to tap into it and keep creating it. Where I'm at right now, I'm a testimony that I recreated myself. I recreated my life. To stop here, absolutely not. There's so much room. And like you said, my future is to what? Conquer death and take this body up in the light and travel other planets.
Nice, nice. I like it. We'll start wrapping this up here pretty quick. A couple more questions. What are your thoughts on aliens? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, we shouldn't be far-fetched with that word. We got things called illegal aliens, non-resident aliens. Yeah. Those are just terms that say a person is not born in that place. But the things that people, it has gotten far-fetched. most of the stuff that people are experiencing on that level is all being created by your mind. Somebody gave you the thought to create it anyway.
Right, right. Well, do you think that other beings have been to our planet and gave us some education? There's some things that they just can't explain, right?
Oh, no, not at all. We're creating them. We are those beings.
Yeah, okay. All right, all right. What?
I gotta go there.
Yeah, all right.
For me to be at this vibration, I'm just gotta say it. They would have came to me by now. So everybody else, I think, is coming up out of them. I'm looking at the toxicity of their body. Your mind is making it up because your mind's creating your reality. You got to go back to that. So a lot of people, when you're that far from the oneness, you're disillusional. You're stuck in an illusion.
Right.
So you're seeing all types of, you're trying to identify it the best way you can. You're seeing aliens, you're seeing ghosts, all this other stuff. The more you start cleaning yourself out and get back to unity, life becomes simple and you don't see all that stuff no more. You don't even dream.
Right. Well, I believe that our universe is so expansive. There has to be other life out there. I mean, just mathematically, there has to be. But I think if there was other life, I think they'd know better than to reveal themselves to us, because it would destroy our religions, all our beliefs, our faith. It would just cause chaos down here. So I think they're smart enough to know, like, yeah, we can't just show up in a ship and then, you know what I mean? So maybe they do tap into certain people who are at a higher level of consciousness and give them a download that way. I don't know. Could be.
Well, that's an interesting point of view.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, are you part of the urine therapy community? Does that go hand in hand with the breatharian lifestyle or no? I've never heard you talk about it.
Absolutely.
I'm just curious. Okay.
No, absolutely not. It does not go with the breatharian community. It's a therapy. And that's basically what it is. Now, is it a good therapy? If you need it, it could be a good therapy. But being a breatharian, it's not needed.
It's not something you practice? You don't do that?
Right, you don't need to practice that. That'll be a waste of time. And actually, what comes out of your body is what you put in. When you don't drink a lot of fluids is not coming out, so you don't have no urine to play with.
Right, right. It makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, why would I want to do something like that? It's a waste of my time on this level I'm at right now. That's for the people who need it.
Okay, makes sense. We'll end with this question. If somebody is interested, they just heard this podcast and they're interested in trying the breatharian lifestyle, like you said, there's many levels to it. So what would be your advice for somebody who wants to start on this path?
Oh, absolutely. There's 5 things you should start on. Okay. Fasting once a week. Get used to that cycle. You don't need to do more or less. That's just a good health message. Keep in mind that this is a health message. Fasting once a week. Your food consumption that you're currently doing right now, try to upgrade it just a little. You ain't got to go to one level, like, jump way up here to being a fruitarian, and you're not that right now. Don't do that. Just get a diet that's a lot more increased in energy, because there's different foods that hold different energy quotients.
Right.
Educate yourself. Learn as much as you can about, not breatharianism, energy flow. There's so much information out there about the energy flow that's going through the human being, all this other stuff. Educate yourself. And I got a YouTube channel under Elitom El-amin, and I try to cover every subject to really educate you on what things about, the do's and the don'ts, to educate you on this. Number 4, learn a meditation to work with these energies. These forces is all around you. You living in them. Get you a meditation and start feeling that energy flow through you, and know that you can harness it and work with these energies. That's number 3. And then number 4, what would number 4 be? Exercise. Now, I said meditation and diet and stuff like that. Get you an exercise. If you're overweight, lose some of that weight. So you can have, just by you feeling like you got more energy, that's living on prana. Right. That's a breatharian. That's it. It's the energy. And if you're underweight, because there's some people, I'm so underweight, if I go anymore without eating, I'm going to lose a whole lot of weight. Well, because you're not, you don't have enough energy in the body. Just because you're thin don't mean you're healthy. You need to eat to probably get out of weight that you're comfortable with, get in these meditations, make sure you're healthy. The bottom line, this is a holistic health message. Better your health from where it's currently at right now, then you can see that breatharianism can be a reality. When you're just out there and don't care and want to jump here to here, it's not going to happen. Capture these energies, and they're subtle, and work with them slowly. Everybody can have some room for where their health is at right now. That's what you got to think about.
Nice. I love it, man. Sounds good. Sounds like a good way to start the process.
I got a website too under Elitom El-amin. I try to keep my information on there. But again, a holistic health message. And then start working more on how you thinking.
Right.
Start getting that universal thought process. Your brother, your sister, all these people you meet, there's image in you. You understand? A mirror image. The more you treat people nice, you start feeling a feeling of energy of fulfillment inside. That right there is nourishment. This is the path.
Nice, man. I love it. I love it. Well, this is awesome, man. I appreciate you giving me your time. I know you're busy doing your retreats and stuff like that. So I truly appreciate you giving me some of your time and spreading the awareness, man. I love what you're doing. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'm glad you called.
And again, you probably just said, but quickly, if people want to get a hold of you or connect, what's the best way?
And the best way would be at my website. It's under Elitom El-amin .com. And it'll show you how to contact me via email and everything else through there. And that'd be great.
Awesome. All right, man.
I'm a nomad, so it's best to catch me that way.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for talking.
All right, thank you. And I hope everybody got something out of this.
I'm sure they did.
Have a nice day.